Buenos días, Espanol. This is Señor Irvin, and this is a lesson on ¿Qué hora es? What time is it? So, the first thing that I would like to do is just quickly go over the numbers in Espanol. And if you don't already have these in your notes, you want to make sure that you get them down because we're going to need them all. And the numbers that I'm talking about are not only the numbers uno a 10, which are very useful, especially when we're talking about cuál es tu teléfono, cuál es tu número de teléfono, phone numbers, or 11 a 19, which are very useful in cuántos años tienes, and also are going to be very useful in time, but also the numbers 20 a 29. This might be a good moment for you to go ahead and pause, write these numbers down, 20 a 29, and put them into your notes. Sounds good? Go ahead and pause me and then come on right back. Muy bien, hopefully you put those numbers into your notas, and now you have them, los números 0 a 29. Muy bien. And really, we only need the numbers 0 through 29, and I'm going to show you why and how you're able to tell ¿Qué hora es? Answer the question, ¿Qué hora es? What time it is? Is it in Espanol? So first of all, make sure you write this into your notas. ¿Qué hora es? You notice this is actually very straightforward as far as the question. What time or hour is it? Muy bien, as we have it there. ¿Qué hora es? What time is it? So make sure you write that down. See? ¿Qué más? What else? Well, in very simple terms, if it's 1 o'clock in Espanol, to be able to answer the question, what time is it? ¿Qué hora es? You say, es la una. You notice the number uno here is changed to the feminine form. Why? It just is. Okay, we're using es la una. We're going to make sure this is not the word uno. And what does it mean in English? We say something like, it's 1 o'clock. Hopefully that makes sense. But this is only for 1 o'clock. What about all the other numbers? We have 2 through 12 o'clock. Well, for those numbers, you're not going to say es la una. You're going to use the phrase, for any other time, use son las, and then the number. So, for example, if it was 2 o'clock, you would say son las dos. Let's see if I can type this in over here, actually. Son las dos. Or what if it was 3 o'clock? Well, you just say son las tres. 4, son las cuatro. 5, son las cinco. Easy, huh? Son las seis. And so on and so forth. You can use any of these numbers, just a straight up number after son las. So you might as well practice saying that. Son las dos. It's 2 o'clock. Son las tres. It's 3 o'clock. Son las seis. It's 6 o'clock. So pretty simple as far as the response. Let's go back to just 2 o'clock. Okay? Son las dos. We'll make this a little bit bigger. Perfecto. Muy bien. So, unfortunately, time doesn't just fall on the hour. Okay, so what if it's past the hour? You actually want to say like it's 2:10 or it's 2:20 or it's 2:27. What do? Well, you need another word. Okay, and the other word that you're going to use is the word and. And in Espanol, we know that the word and is this letter, Y. Okay, it's actually Y, the letter is, but it's pronounced Y. So when we want to say son las dos, it's 2 o'clock, and you want to add something else. For example, let's say it's 2:10. Okay, it's 2:10. Son las dos y, and then 10. 10. Okay, let me go ahead and clear that up so we got it down right here. See, and then I'll write it down over here. So son las dos y 10 in English would be like this, 2:10. Okay, not too hard. Son las dos y 10. Let me see what my example looks like down here. Oh, what if it's 2:20? Well, we know that 20 is 20. So we're going to use this exact same formula and say son las dos y 20. There it is. Son las dos y 20. 2:20. Not too bad, huh? Muy bien. En Espanol, just like in English, there are some different times that you want to just use not a number, but actually another word. For example, what if it was 2:15? Can you think of another way of saying 2:15? If you thought of the word quarter or quarter after 2 or use the word quarter, that's exactly what we do in Espanol. Okay? So when it's 15 after, we're going to use the word y cuarto. Y cuarto. Let's make that in bold there. So for example, if it was 3:15, let's answer that one. Of course, we start off with it's 3. Son las 3. And then I want to say and quarter, y cuarto. Now, notice that the word cuarto and the word cuatro, 4, look very similar. Okay, so don't make a mistake as far as getting them mixed up. So this is quarter after 3. Son las 3:15. If it was 2:15, we'd say son las 2:15. If it was 12:15, son las 12:15. So make sure you write down this quarter after equals y cuarto. Muy bien? Nice. But there's a weird thing also that happens in Espanol that does not happen in Inglés. What about if it's 30 after? I've actually heard people use this statement, half past. Okay, that was an old kind of statement. So in Espanol, we have this thing called, we have a statement that means half, and it's media. And as you notice this little statement right here, if it's 30 after, or half an hour after basically, we use this phrase, y media. So for example, for 5:30, let's do some examples here. 5:30, son las 5:30. So you don't try to write the word 30, you just say y media. That's why we only need to know the numbers 1 through 29. What about if it was 11:30? Son las 11:30. Cool. What about if it was 7:30? Son las 7:30. And so on and so forth. So hopefully you kind of get the idea there. See? Cool. So one of the things you should do right now is go ahead and find this thing in your little packets. And it's a clock, okay? It says ¿Qué hora es? Okay? And just fill it in for each one of the hours. Okay, what am I talking about filling in? Just write down over here, for example, what if it's 12 o'clock? We say, son las 12. And you write it out with your pen or pencil and write out the times. It's 12 o'clock, son las 12. What about 1? That was the only one that's weird. It's not son las. It's the only one that's different. It's es la una. Muy bien. Remember, 1 o'clock is its own little weird, strange guy. Okay? And go down this whole list and write down the numbers on your notes. So you have son las 12, es la una, and the rest of these should start off with son las 2, son las 3, son las 4, and so on and so forth. Okay, cool. Fill that thing in. And you have one more part of your notas that I believe looks like this. It says telling time in Spanish part 2. So let's go through and fill this all in because it's just some practice. ¿Qué hora es? What time is it? We know that now. See? What about if it's 1 o'clock? We want to say it's 1. Es la una. That's all you need. Okay. What about if it's 4 o'clock? Son las 4. Okay. And 11 o'clock and 8 o'clock, easy cheesy. All right, so now let's get to some interesting things. Let me put a little arrow here. Oh, or just a regular line there. Let's put an actual arrow there because this is super importante. Look what happens here. Something crazy is happening. It says PM, AM, PM. So now we're talking about AM and PM. All right. So I don't know if you guys remember this, but just yesterday we were talking about these words. Okay, they were mañana, morning. We were talking about this other word called afternoon, tarde. And we were talking about this other word called noche. Okay? Morning, afternoon, and night. In Espanol, in order to make AM or PM, there is no such thing as AM and PM. We add the phrase de la mañana, de la tarde for afternoon, and de la noche for the nighttime. At the end of the time. Okay, so these go at the end. What do I mean at the end? Well, let's fill in this part and then I'll show you. If it's 2 o'clock, what is that? if you said son las dos, you're right. But this says 2 p.m. So 2 p.m. would be which one? Mañana, tarde, o noche? I'm thinking about tarde. So check out what I do at the end. Son las dos de la tarde. It's 2 in the afternoon. Cool? All right. Let's try a different one. How about 7 a.m.? Okay, let me see if I can type one here. Son las siete. It's 7. But I need to say in the morning. So of course we're going to say son las siete de la mañana. You need this de la in there, okay, in order to do the time. Cool. And the last one, of course, is about 9 p.m. We have, let's see if I can type it in here. Come on, baby. There we go. Son las nueve. And then we'll add the de la noche at the end. Son las nueve de la noche. Cool. All right. Go ahead and skip this next little section here because this says at what time something is happening at. Not a super big important deal. But let's go down here, okay, because we got a couple of other lessons to go ahead and teach you right here. Cuarto, we already said it was quarter after. And media was the weird one that meant half past. It's a good way of saying, see? Muy bien, so 30 after. Perfecto. Okay. All right. So now, let's skip the rest of this stuff and let's talk about one last point here. All right. What about if the time is past the half hour? What do I mean? Well, so far we've talked about any time between right on the dot, like son las dos is 2 o'clock, all the way through basically 30, because 2:30 is actually half past. So you say son las 2:30. So, but what about if it's past the half hour? Well, you got to do something crazy in Espanol, and this is the last part of your notes. See? So, for example, if it's 5:35, okay? In English, is there another way to say 5:35 without actually using the word 35? There is. And what it is basically you can say it's 25 until 6 or 25 to 6, okay? Usually you wouldn't say 25 to 6. You might say if it was 5:40, you might say 20 to 6. But 25 to 6 is another way of being able to say that. In Espanol, we do the exact same thing. So the next hour here is 6. So that's the first part I'm going to start off with. Son las 6. Okay, it's 6 o'clock. But it's not really 6. It's 6, but we still got some to go. So we have to use this little vocab word called menos, which just means like until, or if you want to think of it as minus. Menos. Now, how many minutes is it until 6 o'clock? Well, 25. 25. Son las 6 menos 25. What does this mean in English? It's 25 until 6. So you got to look at the next hour. Let's do another example because this is a little bit confusing. What about if it's 6:40? Okay, that's 20 till 7. That's what we would say in English. So what number did I just say? 20 to 7. So I'm going to start off with the words 7. So I'm going to say son las 7 menos, and what's 20? 20. Cool. All right. Let's do another crazy example. What about if it's 9:50? Okay, 9:50. Well, that is 10 to 10. So I'm going to start off with the word 10. Son las 10. And I'm going to say menos 10. 10 to 10. Cool. What about a crazy example where it's like quarter there? Let's do 10:45. This is a quarter until 11. So let's start off with the word 11. Son las 11 menos. And what is that weird word that means quarter? That would be cuarto. This means quarter until 11. Okay? Hopefully that makes some sense. Do the practice exercises. I know it's a little tricky, but so is Espanol. Gracias a Dios. Hasta la vista. Ahí nos vemos.